This handsome man, just like everyone watching, was a 300-pound fat guy a few days ago. The story begins on his way to a convenience store, where he was still in his fat form. He saw a girl being harassed by thugs and tried to intervene, but his obesity led to him being mocked and beaten. He was beaten so badly he nearly collapsed, and only stopped when the police arrived. Kaori asked about his injuries, but feeling ashamed, Tenjou turned and left. From childhood, his obesity had made him a target of bullying. Even his parents disliked him, and the bullying intensified in middle school. His only loving grandfather passed away, leaving his inheritance to him. His parents, unable to inherit, abandoned him, leaving him to work tirelessly to support himself. One day, after finally graduating from middle school, he was rushing to his part-time job when he was suddenly kicked to the ground. Then he was beaten again by his bullies, while his younger siblings laughed as he watched. At his part-time job, he was stabbed in the leg for being late. Back home, Tenjou, feeling utterly hopeless, looked at himself in the mirror and punched it repeatedly in frustration, unaware that this punch opened a door to another world. He entered a secret room and found various strange objects piled up around him. He found a door leading to this other world, where he gained various skills and could freely access god-level equipment. Outside, a level 300 red demon suddenly appeared and attacked the house, but was blocked by the house's barrier. Tenjou, strong and powerful, picked up his spear and threw it, instantly killing the red demon. He also discovered that his level had increased to 100, and the monster dropped a large number of items upon death. Just as he was about to go back to rest, the items he had collected were automatically converted into atoms. That night, Tenjou's body began to change. Waking up the next day, he noticed a change in his body, seeing his 8-pack abs. He wanted to look in the mirror, but had to give up because he had broken one earlier. He arrived in another world and found a vegetable garden with various magically effective herbs and vegetables. Suddenly, a level 200 slime appeared. Tenjou summoned a spear and casually threw it, instantly defeating the slime. He also got a hat that restored magic power by sunbathing. Wearing it, his level reached to 150. This continued for a while as he fought monsters and collected materials. Soon, it was time for school to start. On his way to high school, he attracted a lot of attention. The students who had bullied him thought he was a transfer student, but when he revealed that "I am Tenjou," everyone's jaws dropped. Realizing something was wrong, Tenjou went to the restroom. Looking at himself in the mirror, he couldn't believe it was him. When the former fat boy opened the gate to this other world, he transformed into a handsome man just like everyone else present. Not only did he gain a host of incredible skills in the other world, but he also won the favor of a goddess in the real world. The girl before him was named Kaori, because Tenjou had previously stood up for her, helping her avoid harassment by thugs. Kaori suggested that he attend Usei Academy. The students at Usei Academy were all top-tier elites. The insecure Tenjou felt he wasn't qualified to study at such a prestigious school. His younger siblings, seeing this, claimed to be superior to him in both academics and sports, and hoped to be admitted instead. Kaori flatly refused. Having investigated the two, Kaori knew they weren't exactly innocent. She said she would take the Tenjou to Usei Academy immediately, without waiting for him to respond. She grabbed his hand and got into the car, driving away. Upon arriving at the academy, they met Kaori's father, who was also the school's chairman. He thanked Tenjou for helping his daughter and promised to cover all his tuition fees. The insecure Tenjou still felt unworthy. The chairman assured him not to worry and let him experience the school for a day. After mentally preparing himself, the Tenjou was led into the classroom. After introducing himself, he noticed no one interviewed him, leading him to believe he was unpopular, but he was unaware of the truth. He then settled into his seat, and school ended. After class, his classmates were all interested in the handsome new student. He was unsure how to answer their questions. At this moment, a boy named Igarashi helped him out and invited him to the cafeteria for lunch. Tenjou experienced a different kind of school life there and ultimately agreed to stay at Usei Academy. After school, Kaori invited him shopping, and the two even caused a ruckus. Back home, Tenjou donned a stylish outfit and decided to venture into the other world again. As soon as he opened the door, a slime attacked the barrier. Tenjou easily defeated it with a single strike, leveling up to 235. Thinking of the even stronger monsters outside the barrier, he decided to head deeper into the forest. Just as he stepped out of the barrier, he heard a scream from the forest and found himself surrounded by corpses. At this moment, a goblin in the distance noticed him, and Tenjou rushed forward, throwing his spear. Then, with a flying kick, he slapped the goblin's face open, only to be crushed by another goblin's slash. Tenjou, having gotten up, used his spear to clear his throat, summoned an arrow in midair, and fired. Upon landing, he summoned another arrow and killed the goblin with a single blow. This Tenjou was having a blast. He leveled up by fighting monsters in another world and even got a wife for free. Since returning from the other world as a handsome man, Tenjou, feeling self-conscious about wearing the same shirt every day, decided to buy some new clothes. That day, at the mall, he noticed passers-by staring at him, and feeling inferior, he quickened his pace. Just as he was agonizing over which clothes to buy, two girls approached him. him, initially thinking they were salespeople. He refused after learning their intentions. By the time the girls realized what was happening, he was gone. Meanwhile, a man in the mall named Hikaru was furious because the male model they had arranged hadn't arrived on time, so he decided to pick a random passerby to fill the role. Just as the Tenjou was leaving, Hikaru happened to brush past him. Hikaru immediately took a liking to the Tenjou, so he approached him and explained his purpose. Tenjou agreed to Hikaru's request, and the photo shoot was completed smoothly. Sitting down to rest, Tenjou lamented to Miyu that being a model was difficult, while also admiring her. He had always lived a life completely unrelated to fashion and had never worn such beautiful clothes. He couldn't help but wonder why Miyu had chosen to become a model. Miyu explained that her parents were very busy and rarely had time to care for her, so she wanted to show them what she could do. However, she now felt happy thinking about making readers happy and advised Tenjou to just enjoy the present. Just as the two were chatting happily, someone appeared and interrupted them. A blonde-haired man immediately tackled Miyu. Tenjou, unable to tolerate someone showing off in front of him, stepped in to stop the blonde-haired man. Enraged, the blonde-haired man reached out to hit the Tenjou, but Tenjou slammed him onto his back with ease. Just when the male protagonist thought he would be condemned by the passers-by, he was surprised to find only voices of support. The blonde-haired guy, who had failed in his attempt to steal the chicken, fled in disarray. Afterwards, Hikaru gave Tenjou a pile of clothes, saying he wanted to pay in cash. But the company procedures were too complicated, so he simply gave the clothes as payment, hoping for another opportunity to cooperate in the future. Meanwhile, in another world, after Tenjou had dealt with the goblins, soldiers appeared and rescued the girl. The rescued girl had also woken up, and her eyes were only on the Tenjou, so she gathered her soldiers and decided to go to the Great Magic Mirror to find her savior. When the group arrived in the forest, they were surrounded by goblins. Just when the Princess Arcelia was in danger, our hero appeared. At this moment, Tenjou seemed to have entered a fantasy game, encountering a young companion. After rescuing everyone, the Princess Arcelia came to the Tenjou's side and proposed to him. Faced with the princess's sudden marriage proposal, Tenjou is stunned, as is the knight captain beside him, who exclaims, "What are you doing? Who are you? Even if you were rescued and don't know her, you can't be so hasty." The love-struck princess insists on going over, but Tenjou quickly intervenes and invites them to his home. The captain, upon entering the house, is incredulous that there's a house in the dangerous Great Magic Mirror forest. Through conversation, they learn that the girl is the kingdom's first princess and second in line to the throne. Tenjou introduces himself to the princess, who, upon hearing his name, assumes he's from a foreign land. The princess, her love-struck mind overload, decides to propose to Tenjou again. Faced with this sudden turn of events, Tenjou refuses, saying he feels heartbroken. Instead of being bullied, the princess, recalling a trope from a romance novel, plans to have an affair with the Tenjou's friend. Tenjou, who has never had friends, agrees. The captain interrupts their conversation, inviting the hero to the kingdom to meet his majesty. After choosing an auspicious day, the Tenjou watches the princess depart. Meanwhile, a man in black reports to the masked man before him that although his assassin successfully distracted the princess's guards, the princess had accidentally entered the Great Magic Mirror. His men were also defeated by the demon. Seeing the princess still alive, the masked man tells her to leave. Then he took off his mask, revealing a face covered in scars. The day arrived for Tenjou to transfer to Usei Academy. On his way to school, he was still surrounded by onlookers. Upon arriving at school, everyone was having PE class. Kazama asked Tenjou why he was just watching from the sidelines. Tenjou explained that his gym uniform hadn't arrived yet, so he could only watch from the sidelines. Before they could exchange more than a few words, the blonde-haired guy Akira, eager to show off, declared, "Look at my Shaolin Vajra skills." But the football accidentally veers straight toward Kazama. However, Tenjou saves him with a spectacular kick. The students present were stunned. Tenjou's incredibly cool antics quickly made him a sensation among the girls. Fearing he'd be snatched away, Kaori, one of the girls, was terrified of losing him. Then, during Kaori's PE class, a loud crash came from the school gate, and a group of thugs rode in on motorcycles. Tenjou saw his younger siblings. It turned out that Kaori had been very happy since rejecting their school application, so he'd found some thugs nearby to expose her. His sister ordered Kaori to be arrested. Seeing the situation was bad, Tenjou wanted to go down and help, but his legs wouldn't stop him. He remembered his past battles in another world. How could he back down? He gave himself a brainwashing injection, turned around, and went to the window to start showing off. Tenjou jumped from the 4th floor, making a heroic entrance, and then passed by the thugs, only to be blocked by a blonde-haired guy. Tenjou uses a bloodthirsty teleportation to leap over the blonde guy, and with a single blow, he pinned the boss of the thugs to the floor. The extras nearby are stunned, thinking this is way too intense. Tenjou walks up to Kaori and starts showing off their relationship. The leader, a scholarly guy, can't stand it and tries to run the hero over. After some wild stunts, the scholarly guy crashes his motorcycle into the steps and knocks himself out. The police arrive and take everyone away. Kaori, still full of energy, continues showing off their relationship. Meanwhile, the younger brother suddenly gets grabbed by the neck from behind by the scholarly guy and lifted up. The police officer stands there frozen, thinking it's time for the hero to show off. Just as the younger brother is about to die, Tenjou appears. The scholarly guy charges at the Tenjou, but gets forced to his knees by the Tenjou's overwhelming aura. The younger brother and sister facing the Tenjou, who helped them despite past grudges, cry and kneel down saying, "Big brother, please accept us as your followers." Today, Tenjou planned to return to the Demon Mirror dungeon to grind and level up. Before leaving, he suddenly recalls the landlord's initial question about why he'd live in such a dangerous place. After clearing out monsters, he's about to head home when he hears a scream from behind. A black dog is being bullied by a pig-headed monster. Tenjou thought about it and decided to give up, but in the end, he couldn't bear to see little dog being bullied. So he threw his spear to attract the pig-headed man's attention, then stood in front of the pig-headed man with his sword, only to find that his own spear had instantly killed him. Recalling that he could instantly kill the red demon when all his stats were still 1, he couldn't help but wonder who the idle one who made such a weapon was. At this moment, little Puppy, who was standing nearby, thought the Tenjou was an enemy. Tenjou took out a healing potion to heal him. After the Tenjou healed him, he tamed little Night Dog. "Don't you have parents at home? Then come to my house. There must be parents where you live. Whatever you want." At this time, Tenjou not only discovered that Night's stats were ridiculously high, but the monster drop rate was also quite high. When he checked the monster drops, he found a dog hair book that could not only make fur shiny, but also make bald heads grow hair again. At this time, Tenjou found that he had been leveled up. He had clearly completed so many levels. He thought he would figure out the leveling mechanism later. The next day, Tenjou went to school and asked his classmates if there was a pet store nearby. After learning that Tenjou had a dog, the madman next to him wanted to see Knight's picture, but Tenjou said that he was a caveman and did not have a cell phone. After school, Tenjou put the collar he bought on Dog. Knight liked it very much. Then he took Dog for a walk. He was very cool and flashy along the way. On the way, he met Kaori. Kaori saw that Dog was so cute and also gave him a good pat. At this time, someone called the protagonist's name from behind. It was Kazama, who had taken model photos with him last time. Kaori mistakenly thought that the Tenjou was dating Kazama. After receiving a negative answer, Kaori was very excited. Suddenly, the person next to her, an older woman, shouted, "Robbery!" The strong Tenjou sent Night Dog to chase the robber, while he and Kaori went to the woman's side. After a while, Dog dragged the robber back. Tenjou asked Kaori to help call the police, but unexpectedly, the robber broke free and charged at Kaori, who had maxed out her hatred talent with a small knife. However, Tenjou stopped him and subdued the robber with a swift move. Of course, he got bumped again in the process. After sending the woman away, Tenjou went to the magic mirror again to restore his body. Along the way, he beat up stupid animals, and even the bears that passed by would get slapped twice by the Tenjou. The two of them worked together seamlessly. Even the pig of the same level who had bullied Knight before, the headman repairing the ditch, could easily kill the Tenjou halfway through. He spotted a crystal deer not far away, but even with his invisibility activated, he sensed the deer had detected him. With no other option, he had to grit his teeth and bear it. After defeating the crystal deer, a portable hot spring dropped. He then returned home and happily soaked in the hot spring. The next day, he went back to the forest to level up. After defeating the monsters, he discovered, finally leveling up, a hole suddenly appeared in the mountainside. Tenjou walked deeper into it. That day, Tenjou found a sage's book. Opening it, he discovered it recorded the life of a sage whose realm had reached its highest point, allowing him to enter the realm of gods while still alive. However, the sage refused the opportunity to be honest because he was too powerful, and thus lived a solitary life. Those around him feared his power. The sage's lingering spirit within the book told to Tenjou that to avoid instilling fear in those around him, he needed to build trust and establish relationships. This was quite difficult for the Tenjou, who had just made friends. The sage then asked Tenjou to answer his question. Tenjou answered with magic. The sage then wrote all the theories of magic into the book. However, since Tenjou was from another world, his body lacked magical circuits. The sage felt it was better to give his own magical circuits to Tenjou than to lose his own. Thus, Tenjou received another cheat code. After a period of study, Tenjou finally felt magic and succeeded. The magic was released, and even Night Dog, who was standing nearby, learned magic. At this time, the captain of the night team returned to the kingdom and met with the emperor. When the emperor heard from the captain that the princess had proposed to the hero, he immediately started to throw a tantrum. His precious daughter had been taken. Back at school, Tenjou learned that he would be doing an off-campus training next week and would be assigned to crazy boy Akira and a girl named Rin. At this time, Tenjou remembered that he did not have a backpack. Kazama suggested that they go to buy one together. Tenjou also invited Kaori, and everyone thought that the guy was really awesome. He even knew the chairman's daughter, so they set off to shop. Soon, everyone bought most of the items and decided to go to the arcade. When his eyes saw the figurines and claw machine, he couldn't move. Tenjou decided to use his cheat to help Kaori grab figurines. Then Kazama pulled the Tenjou to help him grab dolls. Seeing how awesome Tenjou was, his classmates all asked him to help them grab things. He grabbed them one by one. Afterwards, Igarashi suggested to go to the coffee shop on the 7th floor for drinks, but Rin suggested to go to the 13th floor to buy clothes, so the group temporarily separated. At this time, everyone who was drinking coffee suddenly heard the alarm. The fire started on the 10th floor and was spreading. Tenjou thought of while Kaori was still upstairs. He ran to the stairs to ask the staff if they had seen the 3 girls come downstairs. However, the staff urged Tenjou and everyone to take refuge quickly. At this moment, Igarashi received a call from Rin, who told him that she didn't have time to escape, and then he told Tenjou the situation. Tenjou rushed upstairs. When he arrived upstairs, he found that the sprinkler couldn't suppress the fruit, so he released magic to envelop his body in water and air and then ran deeper. At this time, the three girls had already fallen into a coma. Kaori saw the Tenjou and fainted after he arrived. Tenjou used magic to sense that no one was around, so he picked up the girl and ran. Seeing that there was no way to escape, he smashes through the floor with his magic strength and starts going down. Then everyone found Tenjou on the first floor. After the girls were treated, Tenjou covered up the rescue process. The chairman also thanked our hero well. After that, Tenjou goes home where his magical dog was waiting for him. Next day, it's just because he accidentally saved a girl that she wants to throw herself into his arms. Actually, that day, our hero Tenjou went to a dungeon to fight monsters and level up as usual. But as the protagonist walked, he encountered two goblins blocking his path. Unperturbed, he drew his greatsword and charged at them, his equipment drop rate remaining remarkably low. After packing up, he left the cave. Just as he was about to head home, Black Wolf suddenly darted forward like a duck. When the Tenjou caught up, Wolf signaled him to conceal his presence. At that moment, Tenjou noticed a girl surrounded by goblins in the distance. He wanted to go and equip her, but Puppy Wolf stopped him. Tenjou was dumbfounded, wondering what kind of tactic this was. The elite goblin used other goblins. The goblin unleashed its sunlight and then ambushed the girl from the side, kicking her and leaving her severely injured and on the ground. Seeing that the girl was about to meet her end, Tenjou felt it was time to show off and jumped up, giving the goblin a brain surgery. Puppy Wolf also helped clear out the smaller goblins nearby, but unexpectedly, many more goblins were hiding around. Tenjou pulled out his special ability and whipped away all the surrounding goblins, leaving the protagonist amazed at how powerful the whip was. Afterwards, Tenjou carried the girl away. He wanted to take her home, but Puppy Wolf objected. Puppy Wolf was so understanding. He was really going to cry. At this moment, the girl woke up. Seeing that she was awake, the Tenjou took out a recovery potion and gave it to her. Without thinking, the girl drank it and her injuries began to heal. Then Tenjou introduced himself, but when he introduced Puppy Wolf next to him, became hostile towards the girl. The girl's name was Luna. She was originally training in the forest, but was attacked by a group of high-level goblins. Tenjou also said that he would rest there. Seeing that it was getting dark and she couldn't return to the town, Luna decided to bathe in the river. Without a word, Tenjou pulls out a portable hot spring for Luna to use. Luna then asks if the Tenjou would accompany her training for a while, making it hard to refuse. The hero agrees, but said he wouldn't stay with her forever. In the following days, the two trained together for a period. Tenjou praised Luna for being able to defeat high-level goblins and said that starting tomorrow, he would not be able to accompany Luna to rest. Then Tenjou went to take a bath. Just then, Luna walked in. Tenjou was about to leave to report back to his master. In order to thank the hero for saving her and making her stronger, Luna offered to help the hero scrub his back. After returning to reality, he dozed off in the bus. When he woke up again, he had arrived at the place of the off-campus training. The teachers were a group of people. After changing clothes, they gathered in the hall. The off-campus training was to live in the wild for 2 days and 1 night. As for food, there were wild mushrooms on the mountain and fish in the river. The implication was that they would let the wild mushrooms on the mountain and fish in the river be eaten. Everyone pitched in, but some rice was provided. Just then, the long yellow-haired Akira wanted to show off, but the teacher stopped him. This is part of the learning experience, and also a competition between students of the same grade. The all-girl wanted to finish quickly and return to the facility, but the teacher told them this was where the teachers lived, and the students would have to stay outside. Outside, Tenjou and his group were also at a loss, as they had never used tents or fishing rods before. They then suggested dividing the work. Tenjou went fishing, while Kazama went to find wild game. When they arrived, they found the riverbank already crowded. Igarashi told the hero they were too late. All the spots had been taken. Then Tenjou uses his cheat ability to find a spot with fish. The good stuff arrived. Tenjou put down his fishing rod, picked up a bucket, and went to the river. He chose the method with the most onlookers, catching fish with his bare hands. He caught them one by one. At this time, the surrounding area was full of onlookers. Soon, Tenjou had caught a full bucket. Meanwhile, in another world, a mysterious girl thinking, she has lived as an assassin since childhood. It's different from the bloody killing of her opponents. If I could have met Tenjou earlier, no, I would have killed her. She is a member of the closed prison and is called the leader. So, goodbye, Tenjou. Our hero, who had caught a full bucket of fish, returned to the camp. At this time, Akira told the male protagonist that he had risked his life to test poison in order to collect mushrooms. He was terrified. Tenjou hurriedly used magic to check the Akira's physical condition. Fortunately, he was fine. Afterwards, with the help of a cheat abilities, Tenjou easily identified the poisonous mushrooms and picked them out. When he asked who would be responsible for cooking, everyone was embarrassed. Tenjou said that he could only take what he had gathered to the teacher for inspection first. When he arrived at the venue, he met Kaori. After a brief exchange, Kaori was sent away. After the teacher inspected the food, she said that the group was the only one among all the groups that had gathered all edible items. Now that they're ahead in points and prize money, family. The teacher told everyone not to relax because cooking was also a scoring item. She asked the same question: who can cook? Upon hearing this, everyone points their fingers at Tenjou. Then he made a feast for everyone. He quickly made a table full of dishes and everyone began to eat. At this time, the teacher, who was drunk, passed by. She saw the food on the table and tasted it. Tenjou asked everyone how it tasted, but no one spoke. Everyone praised Tenjou's cooking as absolutely delicious. After the deduction, the teacher, who ate the food made by a top chef every day, couldn't help but sigh that the male protagonist's cooking was very good. He had been tricked again. Just as everyone finished eating, after drinking their fill, it seemed like this setup was about to add the teacher to her harem. Just then, Kazuma burst out, saying there were many reasons why she couldn't approach the male lead, but in short, it wouldn't work. The teacher, however, touched the Tenjou's face and said it wasn't necessary. He just needed him to agree to wait indefinitely. Everyone accused the teacher of taking advantage of a young boy, but our handsome hero said the teacher had tried well. Before he could finish speaking, the teacher rewarded him with a bowl of noodles, which makes Akira jealous. After ending the farce, someone asked Tenjou if he had seen heaven. Our hero is exasperated. Meanwhile, at home, Little Wolf was gazing at the starry sky. Suddenly, a bright light appeared behind Little Wolf, indicating that the hero had teleported home. After making Little Wolf a simple meal, he teleported back again. In the bathroom, everyone admired Tenjou's physique. Akira remarked that Tenjou was not only handsome, but also had a great body, making him feel quite inadequate. Moving to the girl's side, Rin, the leader, seeing Kazama's physique, began to grope him. Rin asked if he wanted to kill a man. At this moment, Kaori walked over, looking at him with shame, and lowered her head. Rin then told Kaori that because Tenjou's cooking was so delicious, the teacher couldn't resist proposing to him and Kazama. If the teacher really meant it, then she wouldn't mind losing. This made Kaori think that Tenjou liked the big Upai's business. The next day, everyone was discussing something. One man said that his luggage had been ransacked and suspected that there was a thief. Everyone was about to set off to find ingredients. At this time, Akira was lost in thought. After Akira left, we saw that it was a bear paw. Just as everyone started to pick out ingredients, Akira noticed the shopkeeper in the tree. At this moment, the bear spotted everyone. The bear chased after them and quickly caught up with them to the camp. After a fight at the camp, the people chased Tenjou and his group. The teacher signaled Tenjou and his group to hide behind him. As the bear kicked him on a chair, the teacher quickly told everyone to hide to the side. Just as everyone was rushing to the refuge, the teacher suddenly fell flat on his face. It was very serious. The students next to him were all dumbfounded. He had been knocked down again. The teacher wanted to scold the male lead and run to knock out the bear, but considering that the bear had saved him, he would let it go this time. After thanking the male lead, he asked if the male lead wanted to take him as a reward. At this time, the male teacher next to him asked about the situation. Tenjou said that the bear had been knocked down by him. He fainted and asked what to do with the bear. The male teacher said to wait for the police to arrive first. Another teacher said to use his own medicine, which was very strong. Soon after, Kaori ran over and told everyone that the bear would be kept as a guard dog in the facility and that a breeding permit had been obtained through the chairman's connections. If the bear wanted to take up its post again, it would be killed. Kaori asked the bear if it dared. The bear said it dared not move at all. Thus, the male protagonist's field trip ended. The time to see the king arrived quickly. Tenjou returned to the historical world. In order to welcome the princess, he planned to eliminate the red demon in front of him. At this moment, Little Wolf discovered the fallen props on the side. The rabbit, who had been secretly observing, said, "Finally found it." Soon after, the princess also arrived. This time, she came to take Tenjou to the capital. Just then, Little Wolf pounced on the princess, but the tree behind the Tenjou suddenly fell. Tenjou drew his sword, pulled out his weapon, and cut the tree open. It turned out that Little Wolf had discovered the iron wire on the side, which was why he pounced on the princess. Tenjou told the captain to protect the princess, and then asked Little Wolf if he knew where the attacker was. At this moment, the princess followed. The male protagonist tells the princess that the attacker is someone he knows and asks for time to take him home to heal, as he doesn't believe the attacker is a bad person. The princess agrees and returns to Tenjou's house. After learning about the hero's relationship with Luna, the princess inquires about his teleportation magic. Tenjou casually explains that he created a magical net for movement. The princess tells him that teleportation magic is legendary, only appearing in fairy tales. If someone knew how to use it, it would overturn people's understanding and even cause a war. Tenjou is stunned. At this moment, the princess calls out to Luna, "How long are you going to keep pretending to sleep?" Luna, realizing she's been discovered, gets up. The princess asks Luna to introduce herself, and even Tenjou wants to know why Luna did this. Luna explains that she was an orphan when she was young. To survive, she scavenged through roadside garbage and was even chased through the streets for stealing. One day, a man adopted Luna. The man not only taught Luna to read and write, but also assassination techniques. The princess realized Luna's master was from a dark guild, a group known for murder and robbery. After joining the guild and completing countless assassination missions, Luna became known as a headhunter. Not long ago, Luna received a mission to kill the princess. The outcome was this. Luna explained that the mission had failed, and the Dark Guild, knowing the failure, would send someone to assassinate her. At this point, our hero drew a large line on Luna's face, saying, "Although we haven't known each other for long, I truly consider you a friend." Tenjou was clearly very enthusiastic. Then the princess stepped forward and offered Luna her bodyguard. Luna felt unworthy, believing her hands were filthy from killing countless people. The princess then grabbed Luna's hand and touched it, saying, "These hands are quite smooth. Luna said it was all thanks to Tenjou's bathtub. The princess then forcefully ordered Luna to become her bodyguard, demanding she explain what the Tenjou's bathtub was all about. Luna explained that Tenjou carried a portable bathtub. Soaking in the hot spring not only relieves fatigue, but also has beauty benefits. The princess immediately said she wanted to soak too, and the two of them began soaking. The princess then asked Luna if she liked Tenjou. At first, Luna tried to hide it, but the princess had already seen through Luna's feelings for Tenjou. The princess then declared war on Luna to see who could marry the male lead faster. Thus, the two became rivals in love, and the delicate relationship between master and servant was so awkward that it was hard to describe. After the hero saw that the two had finished soaking in the hot spring, he decided to prepare dinner. The princess jumped out and said, "Let me do it." So the princess put on a show of making potatoes grow legs. The princess's continuous use of Western-style knife skills made the princess so anxious that she was about to fight the potatoes when she realized that the knife was gone. This knife almost killed our hero. In the end, Tenjou silently endured it all. After testing the hero's cooking, the princess praised Tenjou's cooking as absolutely amazing. Then she and the male lead got close. Tenjou found Kaori at the tennis court. Kaori hoped that our hero could replace his teammate and play the game with her. At this moment, Kaori's teammate was carried over. The man told the Tenjou to pay attention to that guy's serve, and then he was carried away. At this moment, a cocky guy told Tenjou that he would soon be able to not be afraid of sinking. The game started soon, and Kaori's racket flew out at lightning speed. Kaori was still wondering why the racket flew out. Kaori's pain and the teammate's bad performance made the male protagonist realize that the guy the man was talking about was Kaori. In the later game, facing Kaori's mistake, the agile Tenjou made timely corrections, and the game changed from 2-on-2 to 1-on-2. Just when the opponent made a mistake, Kaori, who wanted to show off, threw the racket out again. Tenjou witnessed the league's correction. In this way, Tenjou ended the game with 1-on-2. It proved that there was a cheater in the team. Even if you lie down, you can win. Later, when Tenjou was on his way home from school, Kaori blocked Tenjou. In order to thank him for helping her again as a return gift, she invited him to hang out. The male protagonist said just being together made him happy. Hearing this, Kaori told him to close his eyes and then secretly kissed him. Next day, Kaori came to his house to tutor him, but the usually OP protagonist, who was always a failure, was stumped by his homework. In contrast, Tenjou, who had a language comprehension cheat, tutored Kaori in English. Just then, Kaori said she needed to go to the toilet. When she got to the toilet, she discovered a door to another world. Just as Kaori was stunned and about to enter the door, Tenjou found her. Kaori said she felt something calling to her and couldn't help but walk over. Then our hero explained to Kaori that this door was connected to another world and asked Kaori to reach out and try. When she reached out, she found that her hand was blocked by a barrier. Only our hero could pass through this door. Kaori asked the hero what the other world meant. In order for Kaori to understand better, Tenjou immediately released magic and explained that he had obtained powers that did not exist on Earth, including his own magic. When the delinquents ran wild at the school and when the department store caught fire, he was able to save Kaori with the help of his cheat. After that, the male protagonist suggested that they go to the other world to see. Thus, he led Kaori to another world. Upon arriving, Kaori discovered that this world was different from Earth. Tenjou told her that he met Little Wolf and Piggy in this world. Suddenly, Kaori's stat panel popped up. Tenjou explained that this was the concept of ability values in this other world. Everything was quantified. He then noticed that Kaori's stats were higher than when he first arrived. He confessed that he had only leveled up after arriving in this world, inexplicably becoming thinner and gaining muscle. And even his appearance had changed, meaning he had cheated. He believed that his true self wouldn't be recognized by everyone. At this, Kaori quickly changed the subject, saying she wanted to see more of this world. The male protagonist told Kaori that there were many dangerous people in the forest, and the house was protected by a barrier. The two agreed to visit later. Meanwhile, the princess returned to the palace. The king inquired about our hero's situation. The captain said that many things had happened, causing the situation to change. The king also realized that the incident seemed to be related to Luna, who was standing next to the princess. Luna directly stated that she planned to assassinate the princess, thus changing the male protagonist's plans. Upon hearing this, the king immediately picked up the 99-meter-long sword and immediately charged towards Luna, but stopped just halfway away. It turned out Luna had used her threads to control the king's movements. At this moment, the princess intervened, interrupting the conflict. Under the princess's intervention, the king had no choice but to allow Luna to become the princess's bodyguard. Afterwards, the king asked the captain about Luna's background. The captain explained that she was the assassin known as the Headhunter, caught by the hero while Luna was assassinating the princess, and then taken to Luna and the princess's house in the Great Magic Mirror. When the king heard that the princess had spent the night in a man's house, he angrily sliced a nearby chair in two, then licked the 99-meter-long sword coated with a satisfaction potion, declaring that he would make the hero nourish the sword. He then began to fly into a rage again. Meanwhile, within the kingdom's underworld, a lowly magician was reporting to the masked man that the Headhunter had become the princess's bodyguard, and that the hero would soon be summoned to the royal city. Hearing this, the masked man thought of a plan and immediately pulled out a crystal ball called the Magic Ceiling Barrier. As the name suggests, once activated, anyone inside the crystal ball would be unable to use magic and would be isolated from external interference. The masked man told his men that if it failed, they should shifting the blame onto the hero. You can then silence him. Back to the hero. Due to the extended break for the season tournament, he also plans to take advantage of this time to head to the royal city. Time passes quickly, and he arrives at a small town. Seeing the bustling streets, he immediately decides to sell some items. At the guild, he resells the pepper powder he brought from the real world. The shopkeeper, upon seeing it, exclaims that he's an expert, saying he's never seen such high-quality pepper powder before, and immediately offers to buy it from the hero for 100 gold coins. However, Tenjou doesn't know how much 100 gold coins are. The shopkeeper tells him 4 gold coins were enough for an ordinary family to live comfortably for 2.5 years. Then the boss gave him a guild card, which was like an ID card in this world. Afterward, Tenjou took a carriage to the royal city. Upon arriving, he found the city much more bustling and vastly different from the small town. Just then, Piggy pointed out a castle in the distance. Looking at the magnificent castle, our hero realized he was dressed too loosely. He then went to the royal guild and, led by the captain, paid his respects to the king. The king complained that the protagonist had come all this way without even a small gift, completely unprepared. Then Tenjou suddenly remembered the precious blanket he'd broken earlier, so he pulled a quilt from his magic pocket. The surrounding mages recognized it as the blissful quilt, and the princess immediately called it by its nickname. The king, however, was even angrier, believing the protagonist was seducing the princess. He was about to execute the protagonist when the captain stopped him, explaining that the protagonist wasn't from the country and naturally didn't understand their customs. The protagonist, now defiant, was told by the captain that in this country, sending a quilt meant wanting to share a bed for the night. Tenjou realized the gravity of the situation and ordered the mages to attack. The assassin immediately pulled out a wind magic crystal to dispel the magic, but the hero and little wolf quickly subdued him. Seeing his fallen comrades, the assassin, still clutching the crystal, drew a dagger and charged at him. However, Tenjou easily dispatched him with a single screen. After quickly and well-equipped, Tenjou eliminated several assassins. The captain then found a badge on one of the assassins. When the king saw the badge and left, Tenjou, forgetting the captain's request to protect the princess and quell the riot. Just as he was about to push open the door, the princess walked out from behind the door and offering to show the hero around the city, but Luna stopped her. Luna knew the princess would find various excuses to leave, her real purpose being to venture out alone with the hero. To prevent the princess from succeeding, Luna told the princess to stay in the palace while she would show the hero around herself. Neither of them would give in. A passing captain offered to show the hero around, but the two refused in unison. After that, the 4 of them went into the city to begin their tour, while the captain stood guard a little further away. Upon arriving in the town, Tenjou didn't sense any murderous gazes. The Adventurers Guild nearby piqued his interest. He learned that with a Merchant Guild card, one could use it as an ID card. After registering with the Adventurers Guild, one could easily trade monster materials and accept commissions to earn money. Luna and Tenjou then went inside. When the hero filled out his information and saw that he had to fill in his magic attribute, he remembered the writer's words. And since he didn't plan to fill in all attributes after the 3rd level, only wrote water, fire, and wind. When he moved on to the next column, possessing magic power, he was confused. The receptionist explained that he had to fill in his own magic power, which would be measured by a crystal ball in her hand. Tenjou asked if he could only write down the magic power stat. The young lady explained that to prevent false reporting, a crystal ball would be used to measure the power, and the color would change according to the amount of magic power. When Luna placed the ball, it showed yellow, but when it was the hero's turn, his magic power was so high that the crystal ball shattered. When the two handed over their information, the young lady was astonished by the male protagonist's 3 attributes, because someone who could use 3 attribute magic was like a legendary figure. The male protagonist was glad he hadn't filled in all attributes. The young lady then handed the information to the male protagonist and his guild. She explained that since the two had just registered, they would start from the lowest F rank. Tenjou looked at the screen full of requests and didn't know what to do. Just then, a drunken woman called out to our hero. The woman came up and hugged Tenjou, saying that she was also an adventurer and liked to be near people who looked strong. She left her name, Glena, and then left. The princess, wanting to protect our hero from women like the one before, also planned to register as an adventurer. Luna complained that the princess was acting so recklessly that the captain would be the first to fall. Afterwards, Tenjou accepted a request to collect herbs and went to the wilderness to identify them using a cheat. With his abilities, he quickly found the necessary healing herbs. The princess and Luna then proposed a contest to see who could collect the most. The winner would have the hero all to himself for a day. The two began their competition, leaving Tenjou standing there awkwardly by himself. Little Wolf then pointed out that he had found the herbs, but they weren't the ones needed for the mission. Meanwhile, Akatsuki Piggy called out to the hero, who opened the identification box only to discover it was poison. He chose to collect it. Later, he found the princess and Luna, who were identifying the herbs for him. The captain arrived, saying the king had found the whereabouts and hoped the hero could assist. He then told Luna and the princess to return to the palace first, while the hero followed the captain to the prince's hiding place. Jealous Luna wasn't to be outdone, saying that since Tenjou had injured her before, he needed to show weakness for her. The little dog nearby suggested they needed legal aid. Seeing this, the princess also asked Tenjou to feed her. The scene immediately resembled a nurse feeding a patient in a hospital ward. Then the two said they would demonstrate for the hero. After the farce ended, the two went to sleep together. The next day, Tenjou led the two to the captain. When the captain asked who who the girl beside the male protagonist was. The princess explained that the girl was the assassin who wanted to kill me. Soldiers immediately surrounded Luna. The princess stepped forward and asked the captain to put down weapon, but the captain refused. Tenjou also drew his gun, explaining that the other party had reached a settlement with the princess and had become her bodyguard. The princess then explained that she had slept with Luna the previous night, and if she were to be killed, she would have been killed already. Seeing this, the captain had no choice but to put down his weapon. At this point, Tenjou had something to say, explaining that he couldn't go to the royal city because of some personal matters. So the captain had no choice but to point out a path to the protagonist, saying to follow the path until they reached a small town and then ask for directions. Just as everyone was parting ways again, Luna runs toward Tenjou and kisses him on the cheek and said something, leaving him stunned. Afterwards, he arrived at a pond, still pondering what Luna meant by declaration of war, and then soaked in the hot spring. But somehow, a pig had gotten into the hot spring, and Tenjou checked his status panel to find that he had tamed it. After assessing its skills, he discovered that the pig's stats were surprisingly high, so he had it unleash its sacred domain skill. Instantly, Tenjou felt much lighter, guessing it was a healing skill. Just as he named the pig Akatsuki, the little wolf carrying an alarm clock walked over, and Tenjou realized it was time to go back to class. Arriving in class, Tenjou was relieved he wasn't late when the teacher announced a class meeting and revealed the upcoming class competition, a ball skills tournament. The teacher explained that the results of the ball skills competition would also affect their prize money, so everyone was encouraged to work hard. Afterwards, everyone went to PE class, and Tenjou, unfamiliar with the rules, was assigned to be the goalkeeper. Just as the team was taking the lead, Rin, seizing the opportunity, came up with a clever plan. Having Kazama jump up, pretends not to look. Suddenly, everyone's eyes are glued to the two amazing juicy melons, and instantly all attention was drawn, except for the long-haired Akira, who remained unaffected. Indeed, no one in his heart is a god of nature. Akira ran towards our hero, determined to show everyone his ultimate victory, but Tenjou caught the ball in a flash. That day, our hero was heading home when suddenly someone called out to him from behind. The man's name was Kurosawa, said he's from a talent agency. Before he could finish speaking, another person appeared beside him. The woman was the president of the agency, expressing her desire to invite the hero to join the entertainment industry. Glasses and Igarashi were stunned, thinking this was a great opportunity to become a star. However, Tenjou declined, saying that once he joined, he couldn't easily leave, and he was enjoying his current life. The president was confused and started blaming Kurosawa. Just then, a beautiful girl who knows our hero walked over and calmed the president down. Glasses was shocked again, wondering how Tenjou knew them. Then Kurosawa took out a magazine for the month, and the cover was a model photo of the male lead and Miyu that they had taken together. A poster was blown over. It turned out to be a parent who was working in the student council. The president snatched the poster and thought of using the sports tournament to film the male lead. He pulled Kurosawa to talk to the school chairman. Afterwards, our hero came to the magic world again. After defeating the monster, Tenjou planned to venture deeper into the forest. The further he went, the more he noticed the atmosphere changed, and even the trees became darker and harder. Using his skills, he discovered these trees were called black-tipped trees, impervious to ordinary attacks. When he turned to warn Little Wolf and the Akatsuki to be careful, he found the Akatsuki had grown larger, but soon he realized this is a real pig, not a Akatsuki. However, he seemed to be shocked. Tenjou, knocked over by the boar's attack, checked his inventory and found only a corpse, yet the damage was ridiculously high. He pulled out a healing potion, only to be attacked again. Just as he was at his wit's end, a voice came from the depths of the forest offering help. A beam of light shot through, sending the boar flying. When Tenjou saw the creature, he discovered it was a rabbit that had saved him. The boar, attacked by the rabbit, hadn't died and charged towards the ground. The rabbit, having something to say, then challenged the hero, Little Wolf, and Akatsuki present to a kick to show him what they could do. The confident pig went first, but the rabbit found the pig's fancy footwork utterly insignificant. After the spider died, it was Yugu's turn to demonstrate his skills. The rabbit felt his technique was rusty, but with the previous demonstration, it called out to the hero. The protagonist kicked out, and the rabbit sneered, indicating the protagonist's exceptional talent. It then demonstrated for the protagonist. With one kick, the earth shook, and a series of black magic spells were pierced. The rabbit then began special training for the protagonist. Soon, the protagonist could also kick down a black magic spell. Before the protagonist could even catch his breath, the rabbit immediately demanded a practical exercise. The rabbit said, "I'll give it my all." And so, Tenjou and the rabbit kicked from night until morning, from the forest to home. Tenjou asked the rabbit why it was training him. The rabbit explained that it was training the protagonist to be its successor because of its saintly status and mission. Tenjou didn't understand what a saint was. The rabbit explained that there were several people like itself with the title of saint. Those who held the title of saint were top figures in their respective fields, and these titles were for protecting the world from evil. The so-called evil was the negative energy of this world, malice that crystallizes and gained life. And those responsible for protecting other creatures from evil are saints like myself. Tenjou asks, do I have to become the successor? The rabbit replied that he could refuse, as he simply wanted more opportunities to fight evil and save more creatures. Seeing the protagonist's unfathomable potential, the rabbit asked again if he's willing to become the successor. The protagonist refused, saying he wanted to protect everyone he met in this world, as well as the pigs and the dog, and wanted to become stronger. The rabbit understood. The protagonist wanted to get free cheat codes. In return, the rabbit wanted the protagonist to teach her magic. The rabbit noticed that the barrier around the house only accepted those who didn't, guessing the protagonist was a rather cunning magician. Thus, the two became master and apprentice. After defeating the Boar King, the loot drop rate was quite high. Tenjou was wondering what SS level materials meant. The rabbit explained that above SS level were SSS level and the same level, while the evil level was an even higher level. At this moment, Tenjou received a level notification indicating he could evolve his race. His appearance glowed blue, and after the blue light disappeared, he found he had received a large number of cheat codes. The rabbit on the other side said that was enough for today. After leaving by walking on air, Tenjou returned to the real world and arrived at school. The club president found him and said, "You're the star of the day." Then, Tenjou's opponent appeared. Tenjou felt that the chubby guy opposite him didn't look like a high school student at all. Kurosawa explained that the opponent was a sports student who had been honing his skills for 3 years, an undefeated champion in the national tournament known as the Sniper, with the ability to hit any target instantly. The chubby guy's serve was so fast that even the Tenjou with his arm hanging couldn't react in time. The surrounding audience was stunned, wondering what had just happened. The chubby guy told Tenjou that what had just happened was just a snack. Tenjou thought his opponent was indeed stronger than a high school student, but compared to the monsters from another world, he was utterly weak. Then, the protagonist spiked the ball so hard it couldn't even be spiked out because it pierced through the fat guy's defenses. Tenjou immediately dropped his fist and left the ball. The club president asked the cameraman if he had captured the shot. The cameraman replied that it was too fast to capture. The club president then dragged the cameraman to the volleyball court. When our hero arrives, his classmates think they've already won. After the match started, our hero's powerful spike sealed the victory. His opponent, Jian, immediately dropped his fist, saying, "I can't beat them." The club president asked the cameraman, "Dude, what kind of crap did you film? All I can only say the photographer understands men too well." Meanwhile, Tenjou is worried about his own abilities. At this moment, a scream came from not far away. Upon arriving at the house, the hero sensed a sudden silence. A soldier opened the door, but was stabbed in the brain by a flying knife. Inside, the prince was holding a hostage. Seeing this, the protagonist ordered Little Wolf to attack. Little Wolf quickly rescued the hostage, and the group surrounded the prince. However, the prince didn't intend to surrender and began attacking indiscriminately, warning everyone not to approach or he would commit suicide. Everyone was confused by the prince's actions. However, the protagonist, without hesitation, in a flash, he appeared before the prince, who immediately launched a PPT attack on the protagonist. The prince was subdued, and just as everyone was about to capture him, he saw someone approaching as a savior. However, after assessing the situation, the white-haired girl concluded the prince's plan has failed and prepares to kill him when the captain tried to protect him. A sword, seemingly appearing out of nowhere, blocked the attack. Tenjou uses appraisal and discovered it was just a casual observation and assumed there were others outside. The girl raised her right hand, and instantly a barrage of arrows appeared in the room. She then told everyone her goal was to eliminate everyone, and then abandoned the arrows. Tenjou, quick-witted and agile, abandoned his magic to block the arrows, saving everyone. The girl recognized the hero, and considering the excessive energy expended using evil power, wanted to leave. However, the captain wasn't going to let his teammate go so easily, but she vanished in dark. After the hero and his group captured the prince, the captain requested the hero to accompany him to discuss the prince's fate. Soldiers began to pull back the prince's clothes, revealing his scarred body. The king, however, lowered his head in shame. The prince loudly accused the princess of losing control of her magic, which had caused his condition. It turned out the prince's body was injured, but one day he was exposed to the princess's immense magic, and his body began to malfunction, developing an urge to destroy things. Only self-harm could suppress this urge, ultimately leading to his current state. The king was helpless with the prince's condition and could only isolate him. Due to this isolation, the prince developed a desire to kill the princess. He bitterly denounced the king, saying his existence had been poisoned and he had been treated like a flying man. This resonated deeply with the hero. Desperate, the prince begged the king for his life. At this moment, Tenjou interrupted the trial, saying he had something he wanted to try. He opened his magic pocket, took out a recovery potion, and gave it to the prince. 2.5 seconds later, the prince returned to his original form. The others, already looking fierce, looked even more fierce. Only then did the protagonist remember that this was a legendary item. The king was very grateful to the hero for using such precious medicine, but the hero said that he had many more at home. Although the prince had returned to normal, he still could not escape the death penalty. However, the princess forgave the prince directly, and thus the prince was spared the death penalty on the condition that his territory be confiscated. Afterwards, the topic turned to the king wanting to reward our hero. The princess and Luna both expressed their desire to marry Tenjou as a reward, so the prince came up with a plan. Then the king told everyone everyone that the territory confiscated by the prince would be transferred to the hero, and the hero would be granted a title. After being granted a title, Tenjou planned to stay overnight in the palace. However, he dreamed that he was attacked again by the mysterious girl he had met before. Faced with a large number of arrows, he was quickly frightened and woke up in fright. The next day, after finishing his class, he rushed home without stopping, even refusing Kaori's request. Tenjou recalled that the prince had said that he did not know the girl very well. He had met her through the Dark Guild and was eventually used. In order to harmonize the power against the hero, he came to another world to start training. Just 2.5 minutes into the training, Tenjou was suddenly attacked. He asked who the attacker was and why. The girl's explanation for attacking him was that the hero would become an obstacle in his revenge plan. The protagonist, no longer dodging, decided to defeat her and then get to the bottom of it. Meanwhile, Kaori, curious about what had happened to Tenjou, arrived at his house. Seeing the door wasn't properly closed, she was transported to another world. While searching for Tenjou, she unknowingly stepped out of the fence. At this time, our hero was still fighting the girl and was at a disadvantage. He seized an opportunity to rush at her, but she dodged. The girl, knocked to the ground, began to gather energy for a powerful attack, but fortunately, our hero dodged it in time. The girl unleashed her sword again, just as her incompetent teammate Kaori called out to our hero. The girl then turned her attack on Kaori. Fortunately, Tenjou managed to block the attack in time. However, the girl had already prepared her attack, and Tenjou was powerless to defend against the next strike. Just as he was about to lose this last gamble, the girl's attack was kicked away. It turned out that the rabbit had arrived to save the day. The rabbit called the girl the successor to the murdered Emperor Yuti. Emperor Yuti declared that she would avenge his master and take revenge on this world. The rabbit wanted to stop Emperor Yuti, but Emperor Yuti believed that the image, which had done nothing until the death of the evil sword, was not worthy of speaking and was also bound by the contract with this planet. Now, Yuti's actions violate the contract. Having not inherited the holy wind, Yuti disregards the contract and launches another attack. Our hero sees that Yuti's attack is predictable. The rabbit explains that it's a skill for achieving victory, then instructs Tenjou to imitate his movements. Facing Yuti's attack, our hero delivers a powerful blow, shattering Yuti's attack. At this moment, Little Wolf bites Yuti's foot and takes a blow from the rabbit. Yuti believes humanity is worthless, not only polluting the earth, but also constantly waging war. Yuti, whose power overflows, intends to destroy everything here, unleashing his primordial power. At this moment, the piggy, hidden by the protagonist, appears, but runs away despite the hero's attempts to stop it. The protagonist unleashed his sanctuary skill, and as the light spread, the evil power on Yuti was purified. Then, our hero knocked Yuti unconscious. As for Yuti's fate, the rabbit handed him over to the hero and then left. At this moment, the incompetent teammate Kaori appeared. Before she could even react, after releasing Yuti, our hero confessed to Kaori that this was his daily routine, and that he had leveled up in this world, which in the real world would be equivalent to cheating, making him an unacceptable person. Kaori, however, believed that Tenjou had never changed since he first saved her from the thugs. That's where the first season ends. Subscribe to not miss the second season.